everybody. Hopefully, we don't have snafus like last week. Um, if somebody wants to comment, that would be awesome. So I can make sure you guys can hear me this evening. So we got 6 people on here so far. So we'll give it a shake and see what we get going here momentarily. So hopefully everybody's having a wonderful fall shooting season, whatever you want to call it. So, oh, Frank. Hey, Frank. How I met Frank at Disney. I took their photo. Sounds like that. Oh, so hopefully everyone is having a good evening. I know. Been busy, busy, busy. As always, keeping a few, keeping a class in must have seen last week and this week. Lessons, getting the podcast going, all that good stuff, recording, having issues with that. So if somebody would comment, that would be awesome. So I'm assuming you guys can hear me or somebody would have said it already. But, oh, Connie says my sound's garbled. Interesting. Oh, it just got better. It happened one other evening I noticed. I don't know. It might be my internet connection. I have a feeling. I have Wi-Fi downstairs here in my office, but it seems to get a little wonky. So, sound got better. Awesome. So, you know what? We might as well get started. We've got 7 people and it's 8:01. So, I've figured out tonight. Well, let's take one step back actually. Next week, I am going to skip next week because I forgot we have a Halloween party to attend. So it will end up, we'll only be there for like an hour, hour and a half. So that won't appease the wife. So we're going to miss next week, but we'll move on the following. So tonight I kind of wanted to talk about something I think we don't talk about maybe enough, and that's essential camera gear. And always, if you have questions, pop them in the chat and I will pop them up on screen and I will answer them as we go. Hopefully I don't miss any. So back to I was going to do 5 essentials, but I couldn't make up my mind, so I chose 8. So I don't think we talk about essential camera gear enough. I mean, obviously we have our lenses and our camera and our memory card and our batteries. That's besides the question. But these are like 8 pieces of gear that I usually always leave the house with. It's in every kit. And if anybody's ever taken a class with me, or maybe even I think on previous lives, I've talked about like kits. And I always have a kit for like if I shoot a wedding, I have a different kit I take than if I shoot landscapes, like when I go out tomorrow. Or, let's see, what else? If I go and do photojournalism or sports work, I got a completely different kit of lenses and bags and all that stuff. So these are kind of like 8 pieces of stuff that I just never leave the house with, no matter what I'm shooting for the most part. So we will get started here. So number 1 is these little guys, filters. As you can see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, and let's make it 9 filters. And I'm talking filters of all sorts, like this one here. This one is my polarizer. So great for landscapes, all that good stuff. It spins. So it's going to give me nice, especially with fall colors right now. It's giving me a very nice, more saturated color to my leaves. If you're doing any work with water, it'll take that shine and that gloss off the water. You have shiny rocks from water, takes that glare right off. So I love the polarizer. That is my number 1. As I kind of dig into here, I'm going, let's see, what's this one? This one is my neutral density. As you can see, it's super dark. And if I spin this, hopefully, maybe just hopefully, you'll be able to, there we are. There, okay, there. Oh, without the glare of my light, there you are. You can kind of see my face. And then as I go, it gets darker. And you can't see through anything. Think of this as welder's glass. This is one that works for plenty of things. Number 1 that I use it for primarily is slow shutter speeds. I'm out on a really, really super bright day, and I need a slow shutter speed without overexposing or making my image too bright. I slap this puppy on, knocks down a couple stops of light. This is a variable. You can get them in like single stops or like 2 stops, 3 stops, whatever. This is a variable, means it spins. So it's like a 2-stop-ish to about an 8 or 9 stop. So I have one filter versus like 10 different filters. So it saves me weight and just crap in my bag, honestly. So that's what I use it for primarily. The other thing you can do is, let's say you're into portraits and you're a portrait photographer, because the next thing we're going to talk about is a particular lens with an aperture of 1.8. So what happens when you shoot that wide aperture out in, you know, outside in a normal day, it can overexpose. It makes everything too bright. So you can put this on the front, again, knock down some light, and you don't have the issue, boy, of overexposing your images and making them too bright. The other thing is, if you're doing video, same thing. You can use this for video outside. I wouldn't use it inside, because anytime you need light, you don't want this. But sometimes video shooters really want to shoot 1.8, 2.8, 1.4, even 1.2 of an aperture. That's a big opening, letting in a tremendous amount of light. So what happens? It overexposes. So sometimes people say, well, just raise your shutter speed up. Well, maybe you are at 8 thousandths of a second and it's still a little too bright. Well, drop your ISO to the basement. Well, maybe you are at the lowest you can go on your camera, 100, 200, and it's still too bright. This is going to take care of that. Another filter I have got, which I use very rarely because it's too much post-processing and I haven't taken time to learn it, is the infrared filter. All your digital cameras have a, what do I want to say, a little filter that goes over that blocks infrared light. Well, this allows you to use see, in theory, infrared light, and gives you those really bright, well, it depends on the filter. They all do different things of infrared and you get different looks. I use a filter because I'm not going to go buy a camera that I would shoot very rarely where it's converted to read infrared light. So I mean, I've thought about it, but it's just not something I'd use. Now, if I primarily did that, or majority of my, say, fine artwork was infrared for fun, then sure, I'd buy one, because it's a lot easier than dealing with a filter. And then probably the one that everybody has the most of, and everyone I think should have, and people argue this to death, is the UV filter. As you can see, it looks like there is nothing here, but there is glass. This is great for just basic lens protection. Now, people sit here and argue with me all day long and say, Justin, you're putting more glass in front of a lens and now you're getting softer image. Well, if you're buying crap off Amazon, it's $2. Yes, you are. But this one here is a HDX Prime 82 millimeter. This is like a $219 UV filter. It's got the best coatings. It's got the best glass. It's worth every penny, because if I don't know, hit my lens into something, especially if I'm doing photojournalism or sports work, I accidentally smack that, I'd rather scratch this dumb thing or break this than a lens that's going to cost me oodles and oodles of money to fix. So for me, UV filter, I think everybody should have one. Like per se, let's say you're going to go to the beach. When I was in Florida, went and took a few photos of the beach. You got sand, you have abrasive things, you have salt water, mist. If you've seen people who shoot a lot around salt water, they'll get the salt built up. Again, it's on a filter. The other thing, and not your actual lens, the other thing that I like about this too, yes, Ricky says he loves his variable neutral densities. It's the only way to go. I love them. The other thing with these is this has a reflective coatings, but it also has like, it's called Repelamax is what they call it. But this will literally, I can write on this HGX ProMaster filter, do it with the HGX. It will actually, I can write on this with a permanent marker and it will bead up and wipe right off. So it's super cool. But again, that's what you get when you pay for. And Ricky says also, hi, hello, Ricky. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you see a lot of different filters in here. These are just varying sizes of the filters I spoke about. Oh, one other thing, let's add a filter thing in here. That I had on, oh, that is my infrared. What did I do with my polarizer? Well, there's a thing called, I don't know where it went. It's called a step down ring. So I can take a larger filter and put it on a smaller lens, so I don't have to have multiple filters. So maybe, oh, I bet you it's right here. Yes, it is, if it will come off. There we are. So this is literally the cheapest, it's a metal ring. This side, geez, I can't talk tonight. This side is a 77, and this will step down to a 72 millimeter. So the reason I have that is all my other camera lenses are either 82 or 77, and this frickin' new mirrorless camera is a 72. So I'm adapting everything over. I'm not going to buy new filters. So at this point, that's the way to go. Oh, hey, Mary. Hello. If you guys got questions, just pop them up in the chat, and I will try to keep an eye on it. Tip, or let's call it gear number 2, this guy right here, the Nifty 50, as we call it. It is a 50 millimeter 1.8. This goes everywhere with me. Why? 1, as you can see, it's small. 2, it's super light. 3, it lets in a lot of light. So if I'm in somewhere, say a wedding, or I want to do a portrait and I want to really blur that background to give you that nice bokeh, this will do it. It's a 1.8 lens. I will use this with extension tubes. If you're not familiar with the extension tubes, that just moves your rear mount of your lens away from the camera sensor, then allowing you to get closer to your subject. So this is a really kind of like, not a true macro lens with extension tubes, but it allows me to get closer. So I'm not taking that really heavy macro with me if I need something somewhere. But again, these, well, I would say they're fairly affordable in the lens world. They're about $220 for your SLR. Unfortunately, I was looking at the Nifty 50 for my Z series, and it's like $700 or $800. So it's not as cheap as it used to be, but super, super affordable lens. Great for portraits, just about anything. If you've had the conversation with me about lenses before, I don't like to put things in boxes like this is only for portraits. This is only for macro work. A lens is a tool, and you use it for what you want and the shot you're going to get. So this 50 millimeter, if you take out your peripheral vision, this is about what your eye sees. So it's a great lens. It's a great first lens outside your kit lens, unless you need something real specific like macro or long telephoto. Oh, Tyler says he has a topic. Well, you can comment that, Tyler. And everybody doesn't know Tyler's my brother. So, so the Nifty 50 is probably, I think, one of the better choices of lens for somebody who's just starting out. I know Mary had asked me a few questions today, like, when do I go out and shoot leaves? What's the best time of day? You know, what lens should I use? I get those questions a lot, but I also get like, what's the next best lens that I need to buy? And I think this will do it. It's going to let in all the light, blur the backgrounds. It gets almost what everybody wants. And oh, the other thing is, like, I'll show you this filter. They do not make these anymore, unfortunately, but this is the UV filter. Look how thin that is. It's like razor thin. It's super nice. And it's really light. I actually got these at Rockbrook Camera in Omaha, Nebraska. They were clearancing them out. I bought like a whole bunch of them. And bought some for some friends and took them back. So, but yeah, if you're ever in Omaha, check out Rockbrook Camera. Should probably thread this back on. There we are. If not, so I don't lose it. Let's look at number 4 on our list of things. And this is this little guy right here. Very simple. $29.99 is what they used to cost. What is it, you say or ask? Hold your memory cards. I will tell you, this is the best thing to get. And it seems a lot of these things tonight are going to be super simple, but these are things that people just don't, what I want to say, use because they just don't think about it. And what gets me is people, working at the camera store for about, well, almost 8 years, people would always come in and I would say, like, you bought like a bunch of cards last month. What happened? Oh, I can't find them. I lost them. Lost them? Where'd they go? I don't know. There's somewhere, I'll find them, but memory's cheap, so I'll buy a new memory card. You know what? This thing right here, I think this one holds, what is it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 cards. It's got laser cut foam in it. They fit really, really well. You just put them in here. The other thing that's really nice, I used to have on this end a little lanyard. So if I go somewhere, I can clip them to a belt loop or a bag, and then I won't lose them. I lose this dumb thing all the time. So I guess instead of losing one card, you can lose all your cards, but I always find it. But this one's made by Pelican. If anybody's familiar with the Pelican brand, like Pelican Air cases or the Pelican cases that are like waterproof, run-over proof kind of thing. This one's really nice. I've sat on it. I've dropped it. It's, I think it's even got a seal on it, actually, around the edges. Yeah, it's got a little rubber seal to keep dust and moisture out. Super awesome. So you don't want to get your cards wet. Another little trick that I like to do is, since I have so many cards, let's say I go out and I do a shoot. Wow, that's a small card, 8 gig. And I got it full. I take it to the other side and usually put the cards on this side. So when I open it up, I know this side is used, this side is not. Sometimes I will flip them over. I've been told by some people not to do that. Knock on wood, I haven't had issues, so therefore I still do it. But yeah, so you can put your cards from one side to the other, come up with a process, so then you're not like, oh, which one is full, which one is not full. And before you know it, you're like, oh, you put it in out, that one's full. And before you know it, you've missed everything you wanted to photograph. So again, super, super simple little piece of equipment. Runs, like I said, 29, 30 bucks, somewhere around there these days. Ben says, I need to upgrade from an 8 card holder to a 12, so I have to look at the Pelican. Yeah, they're super. I mean, these have been around forever. They probably got an updated one, but Tyler says, tell me how great I am. I'm your favorite brother. Yeah, favorite brother because you're my only brother. So it's good to see Ben. If anybody doesn't know Mr. Ford, he's an awesome photographer as well. So go check out his stuff. Well, let's see. I feel like I'm getting way ahead here because it's only 8:15. Let's talk about number 5. I don't have anything to show for number 5 because I've got way too many of them. That's a good camera bag. And I will tell you, in anything in photography, memory cards, lenses, let's see, camera bags, tripods, you get what you pay for. Filters, same thing. People get, like when you're buying your first camera or any camera or even, I don't know, a new bag, you always, people are like, oh, I don't have any money for it. I will tell you right now, buy a good bag and I have multiples. And the reason I have multiple bags is I have different kits I build for what I'm shooting. So if I do a wedding or sports, I have a big camera bag that I take all my gear in. And then when I get to my venue where I'm shooting, I have a belt system by Think Tank. And Think Tank then allows me, it's got like different pouches. I can move them around. I have a big one that holds my memory cards and all that stuff. Ricky says I love my Think Tank retro. I don't have a retro, but I've got an older retro, I do. But what it allows me to do on that belt is I can put all my extra batteries right here on my hip. I can put a flash on the back. I can put a wide angle lens to my left. I have it set up the same time every time. You know, one flashes in the back. I've got a spot for extra batteries. All that in the same spot is just like muscle memory. When I was in the military, train to do the same thing the same way every time, and then you know. And then you know where to get it, when to get it, it's all there. So if I'm at a wedding, I do the same thing. I take the Think Tank belt system. They sell, I think it's a modular system, so you can buy them a couple different ways where it's like one box of everything and then you buy the belt. They also have a strap system, which I need to get, which puts more weight on the shoulders than the hips, which would be super nice. But that allows me to, you know, distribute the weight. It's a lot easier. But I use the belt system for that by Think Tank. I also have a Think Tank backpack. Trying to remember which one it is. It's really big. Well, I got actually two backpacks from Think Tank. The first one is kind of like my everyday bag. It holds my laptop. If I choose to take it, it will hold almost every lens I have and all my accessories. And it's probably about yay big, about yay wide, about yay deep. So what it does is that's my everyday bag. I can take it. I take it in real quick if I'm going to go on a quick hike, things not far away from the truck. So I've got a bag specifically for that. And when you're getting a good bag like Think Tank, they're not cheap. I'm going to tell you that right now, but they last. People buy camera bags and all this other crap, and they go cheap. And before you know it, the zippers break, they rip out, the straps are torn, they're not comfortable, the padding, the inserts, they all break down. And guess what you do? You go buy another camera bag. And guess what people do? They buy another bag just like the same one or a little bit more expensive bag. And I'm talking like $5, $10 more. And then guess what? That whole thing tears apart and falls apart. And then they buy another one. And eventually they just give up. They buy the most expensive bag that they can afford, like say a Think Tank or a 10 bar, something that's really nice, or a Peak Design bag. You know what? You could have bought that one the first time and spent all the money because now you've bought $50, $80 plus on a really nice camera bag. And then you probably spent, what, $20, $25 on all these other ones. You could have bought a really nice camera bag for that. So don't go cheap. But I'm not saying like go out and burn all your money on camera bags. You know, I've got another backpack that I just got recently from Think Tank for a couple trips that I did. And it's well, I shouldn't call it from Think Tank. Long story, it's their bag, but it's called the Mind Shift. It's the biggest bag they have, and what I love about it is it holds all my gear. Like if I go hiking, all my non-camera gear, first aid pack, water, bear spray, bear spray is usually on my hip, but it's all there. All of that is in there, food, all that stuff, but then you never have any room for camera gear. So what do? You limit your camera gear, or you limit your extra bag or your bag of extras, like maybe the first aid kit, which is a horrible idea, or maybe that rain gear, which is a horrible idea, or the little survival kit if you're way out in backcountry. On occasions when I'll go to national parks and hike backcountry, you have to have that stuff. You can't just like nonchalant like get rid of that stuff and say like, you know what, I'm done, and get rid of it, because all of it's important. Your survival gear, your camera gear, it's all important to have with you because you never know what you're going to run into. I'll go on a little tangent, but we ran into a guy at Zion National Park. Didn't have any like overnight gear, didn't expect to be overnight, walked the Narrows or hiked the Narrows. If you're familiar with Narrows at Zion, you're walking in water. What happened? He missed the last bus. He had to stay overnight in the Narrows on wherever he was staying. He walked, I think, most of the night back, and literally, if that guy was not hypothermic or very close, I would be surprised. He was like shivering when we got there because we were the first bus to be dropped off that morning. Again, he didn't take the proper gear. So this bag it's called the Mind Shift Rotation. It fits all that gear. But what's super cool is I hate a bag where I have to take it off, put it on the ground, reach in, dig out the gear, use the gear, put it back in, pack it back up, put it on my shoulders. This Rotation 180 is like a fanny pack on steroids. It's got a magnetic enclosure on the side. I pull it open. It whips around to my waist. They thought everything about this bag. It's not when you unzip it that the lid on the fanny pack, that's what I'm going to call it, goes towards you. It goes away from you. I can put all my lenses, all this stuff. If you're not going for like a really long hike where you need other gear, they make a bag insert that goes in the back of the bag. It's a super nice bag. It's not cheap. It runs about $300 to $400, but if you're into hiking, definitely look at that. I've got lots of shoulder bags galore, all varying sizes. I've got one that holds just when I go to teach. It holds my projector and all the stuff I need to teach. Business cards, pens, paper, all that stuff that goes in there. And then I take a bag of camera gear, so I have two bags then. So it's things like that. And I also have other size bags that may only hold, say, one camera body, two lenses. Because I don't need all that. Why take this huge, huge oversized bag of stuff? Oh, hey, Sally. How are you? So I have all this stuff, and I can just pick and choose these bags and build out my specific kit. So outside of a good camera bag, I'm trying to think, let's talk about bags in general then in brands. Think Tank, number one, I love it. It's not the most affordable bag, but it's going to last you. I've had my last Think Tank bag for about 7 years. I beat the hell out of it. It still works. I mean, the zippers are a little tight on it. There's some things, but guess what? It works really, really well. Oh, let's talk about this. So it's a bag, or it holds your camera gear, but a hard case. So if you do traveling. So I love Pelican cases, but they're freaking god-awful expensive. I really want the newer Airs, which are really nice. They're a really light roller case. They're hard. They're waterproof, all that good stuff. The problem is they're super expensive, and I spent $400 or $500 on a roller bag. I mean, I got a roller bag, too, that I put studio lights in. Oh, yes, Diana says the Rapid Strap. That's another one. I didn't put straps in here, but maybe that's a bonus for number 9 I'll talk about. But on the cases, like if I go out and I do a shoot for a family gig, I usually take one studio light and probably a 32 to 52 inch Octabox with me. The straps on my roller bag, actually, I can put my light in it, my triggers, extra stuff. It all is in one super nice like roller bag. Well, but maybe I need something for like the landscape stuff, or if I'm stacking crap in the truck on it, I don't want to use a soft-sided roller bag because I could damage equipment. So about a year ago, I was really researching roller cases pretty hard. And I came across a company called Nanook on Amazon. and they're actually made in Canada, and they are like half the price, maybe a little more probably now, of the Think Tanks. And what was super awesome with this was I could do the laser cut, like where it would fit exactly my lenses, but I don't want that. So it's got like a soft insert that goes in. It's got the adjustable dividers. And then what's also super cool is I got it with a section where there's a lid organizer. So in the top of the lid, it's got an organizer so I can put extra batteries, memory cards, all that stuff. But behind that divider is a spot where I can throw a laptop. So I've got everything protected. It's a company called Nanook. They make their cases in like yellow, orange, blue, pink, I think. They're all these colors. I just got a gray one or a silver one because it was cheaper. It's really weird. The colors vary in price, but it's a nice hard case. Invest good money into a hard case. Oh, it just says Facebook user. It says, I only use Pelican, 20 years, never broke, travel the country. My daily is a Pelican roller. Yes, and they are worth the money. But for me, I'm a tight ass. Sorry. So Nanook, but anything like Nanook or Pelican are both two good options. So let's, outside of the good old-fashioned camera bag, is if you're really into landscape photography, there's this piece of equipment right here, the L bracket. So right here, this is a machined piece that fits my D850 with a battery grip. I use on my tripod, I use the Arca Swiss system. So if you see here, it's a little hard to see, but it's got a section that's carved out so instead of having a plate, it locks in. This whole thing goes in and it tightens up. Now what happens is if you're using a tripod, and let's say you got your shot all figured out like this, and then you want to go vertical, well, most of your tripod heads are going to have to go this way. See what just happened? Now I'm not got kind of the same, like I'm not in the same center. It's over to the left. So what the L bracket allows me to do is go here and go vertical. I'm in the same camera position. So really, I'm not changing my composition much. I'm just going vertical. These, you can get them for, this is a ProMaster one. They are pretty affordable. I think they're still making them. My very, very first one was a Really Right Stuff. Like that is like the Ferraris of L brackets. But I will tell you this, they come with like a Ferrari price. I mean, they are super nice though. But what they do is they come in, they screw into the bottom of where your tripod plate goes. So guess what? This never leaves my camera. It's always on. I can still access my battery. I can still access all my ports, all that stuff. So guess what? I never lose a freaking tripod plate. The bane of my existence is tripod plates. And Ricky knows because I just talked to him about it. I had lost all my tripod plates for some ungodly reason. I do not know where they went because I don't have an L bracket yet for the Z6 II. So I had them in a drawer. I threw one on. I took it off, found it in a bag of a bag of a bag kind of thing. Oh, it's Trent as Facebook user. That's awesome. I wonder why it just says Facebook user, Trent. Oh, LOL, I'm in the same boat, Ricky. Yes, Ricky said, I mean, you lose the dumb thing. So I love the L bracket. It keeps things super, super simple. It's always there. It never comes off. But like I said, I use them on the Z6 II at the moment only because I haven't bought a battery grip because I'm being cheap and Nikon wants $400 for battery grip. You know what? Let's throw that one in there too. Let's make it 9. Let's talk about battery grips. I love my battery grips. One does two things. What I like is, yeah, it makes my camera bigger. I have a second shutter button here. So when I'm shooting, I got it up to my eye. I got a stable platform to shoot from. I go down here. I love that. I like a big camera. I really do. I struggle with the mirrorless at this point. I don't struggle with the mirrorless weight. I love that. This thing's a beast. An 850 with a battery grip and a 70-200. It's heavy. If I'm in the truck, shooting a barn out in the distance, super easy. If I'm looking this sucker around at a wedding, it sucks by the end of the day and my shoulders hurt. But it gives me a bigger camera though. And then I've got a second shutter button here. I can autofocus from the back here. It's super nice. They're not cheap either, but again, I can put 2 batteries in. So I have 1 battery here. And then Nikons are a little different. They have a, I don't want to call it a circuit board, but there's connectors on the bottom, and this just sticks on Canons. You take the battery door off, and it has a piece that goes up into the battery area. What's nice here is I can run 2 batteries. I have double the battery life. So if I'm doing night stuff, or if I'm at a wedding, or I'm doing some type of shoot where I need a lot of battery power, one's in the camera, one's in here. What's super nice is I will tell the camera to use this one first versus this one. If I have time to change it, if not, this one goes dead, goes right over the second one. So bonus one, I love my L bracket, or sorry, the L bracket and the battery kit. Let's look at, we're at 829. So let's look at, oh yes, this one is totally like a non-piece of photography gear, but it's this thing right here, your smartphone. Why? One, if you think about it, you always have it with you. The other thing that this puppy does is it's got apps, right? That's the whole point you have a smartphone. So I have a folder on my phone called J. Tedford Photography, and it's everything I run my business off of. It's got my bank app on it. It's got my Instagram. It's got Business Suite for Facebook. It's got Driver's Note, which logs my mileage for taxes. I even have Lightroom on here. I have Canva, which I use to make things for whatever, but it's also got photo apps. Photo pills. I can go into photo pills, and it's got a planner. It's got moon phases. It has exposure. If I'm doing hyperfocal distance, which I won't get into, but if you're doing hyperfocal distance, you need charts. It's got all the charts in there. I can even go in, depth of field table. What else is in here? I don't use it as much. Oh, star trails, meteor showers. So I can tell it that I'm using a 50 millimeter lens with an aperture of 2.8. And I go in and punch it all in. It'll tell me how long my exposure, well, my shutter speed should be before I get streaking of stars. So Ricky says, I was capturing some homecoming photos tonight and the grip came in handy. Yes, it does. Extra battery power and that extra button. So I hate when I go, now that I'm jumping back, but when I have that grip, I don't like having my arm all flaily and it gets hurting and stuck. But back to the apps. I mean, there's so many apps. Like, let's say you're trying to calculate long exposure work with an ND filter. You can go in, I have one, I don't think I downloaded it on my new phone, but I can go in and tell it what my current shutter speed is with ambient light. And I can say, I put on a 10-stop neutral density filter. So instead of having to sit here, I mean, if it makes you feel more empowered to be able to count backwards 10 stops, go for it. But I like to work smarter, not harder. Makes you know better or worse of a photographer. So I can put it in and tell it 10 stops to say, this is what your shutter speed is going to be. And I can make calculations based off of that. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I use. And obviously, it's got my DJI apps for my drone. I even got one that I use a lot is the NPS app from National Park Service. Super nice. I use that when I went to Zion. I go and it gives me all this fun stuff. I can explore national parks. I can create lists. It helps me plan trips too. Obviously, I got Venmo, all that good stuff, all that fun business stuff. I have links to like Google Drive. There's one on here. It's called Light Meter. It's actually pretty close. If you didn't, for some reason, if I needed like some external light meter, I actually prefer to have the real deal, but this works too. It's better than not having it. But there's so many things you can do. I mean, I've got even like the Maps app. A lot of people say, why do you have the Maps app from Apple? I found a barn this week that I liked, but it wasn't the right time to shoot it due to light. So I went in here because it would have been a better image front lit than backlit. And that's how it was. I can go in here and put in a pin. And right there, I put in the pin and said barn. Oh, that doesn't want to focus. But now I can go right to that barn. I don't have to think and remember how to get there. So I have lots of pin things. So think of even unorthodox things like duct tape. I have all that good stuff. Whatever you got, there's non-photo related things overall as well. Let's see. Do I have any other apps that I use? Oh, and then obviously all my social media stuff like TikTok, because I'm getting into that now. All that fun stuff. Oh, Diana says, I use Cam Ranger 2 on my phone for light painting. Yes, I used to have a Cam Ranger, and then I sold it to Mr. John. I don't know if John's on here this evening. Sometimes he's on. But yeah, I love the Cam Ranger for being able to control camera wirelessly and stuff. Super nice. Then you can see things. I used to use it on the iPad. I should get another one, but I wouldn't use it. So trying to think of some other stuff on here that I use that's kind of non-discrete, non-photo. Yeah, I think that's about everything. So your smartphone, I mean, why not? It's another tool. I talk about the photographer's toolbox a lot when I teach classes, and this is one thing that it's in my toolbox. Let's see. Oh, it's 8:34, and I missed one. I know. I have a note on the wall back there. Oh, how in the hell did I miss number 2? Duh, a tripod. So I will tell you, do I use a tripod all the time? No, I'm a lazy photographer. I should, but I'll tell you why you need a tripod or should be using a tripod is one, it like opens the whole world up. It don't matter what your aperture is, what your shutter speed is. It does it because, well, depending on what image you're creating. But like a lot of people say, well, I can't shoot this slow of a shutter speed because I don't have anything to put the camera on. When you use a tripod, I will tell you it does two things. One, it slows you the hell down a whole lot. And what does that do? I think it makes you a better photographer because we go from this mentality of running and gunning where we're like blasting away over here and then over here and over here. And before you know it, you haven't even sat or like stood there for more than 2 seconds to like compose an image. You don't. You're just like, bang, 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 one's over here, done, 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 over here, and then you've accomplished nothing because you're on to the next thing. The tripod makes you slow down, think. The other thing is, like I said, it doesn't matter what your shutter speed is. People say, oh, it's 2 seconds long. I can't handle that. So guess what we do? We pass on the shot. Why pass on the shot? We're shooting digital. We're shooting pixels, not frames anymore. Costs us nothing to click the shutter, really. So you click it, you get your picture in, you like it, you don't. No, no loss there. But at that point, it's one of those things where it's slowing you down. It's making you a better photographer. You start to like think things through and you start to look at all your settings and every piece of everything on your camera set and how it's set and what you're doing to get an end result. When you're talking about tripods as well, if you buy a good tripod, I'll tell you this right now, it's going to last you forever. You buy a shitty tripod, excuse my French, but you buy a crappy tripod from Best Buy made by Sunpack, and it's all wibbly and wobbly. Guess what? Your photos are going to be that way too. I prefer carbon fiber tripods. Now, again, they're not cheap. They're super light. They're really strong. Do I have an aluminum tripod? Yes. Do I take it? No. If I was doing like studio work or something where I'm not moving a lot or hiking, then I would use it. But I like my tripod for, I don't use it a lot, but I've got the aluminum and I also have the carbon fiber. The other thing is a tip when you buy a tripod, buy something that's at least when you extend the legs all the way up, unless it's for a travel one. But make it, before you extend that center column all the way up, make sure where your camera is about where your face is. So then you're not extending that center column up so high where then it starts to get wobbly in the wind. But a good tripod will last you forever. And another thing with a good tripod is you can buy parts. You buy a Manfrotto, a Benro, a Gitzo, if you really want to get into money, is you can buy replacement parts. You break a leg, you can probably get a section of leg. It's all stuff like that because I've seen people buy crappy, cheap tripods. They break, they buy another one. That one breaks, they buy another one. It breaks, they buy another one. On and on and on it goes. And before you know it, you could have bought, you spent what, 25, 50 bucks at a pop on a cheap tripod. And you could have bought a nice one for what you spent on constantly breaking. And I think, Mary says, can you show battery grips again? Oh, I missed it. Yeah. So the battery grip is just this little guy right here, Mary. It actually screws into the bottom. So I've got the second shutter button, holds my second battery. Where is it at? There we are. So nice little handy tool, gives you more power. And then Becky says, what is the best type of tripod head to get for bird photography or any type of movement? Yes, good question. So there's her question. So I'm trying to think of the technical term. I can't think of what it is. Gee, many Christmases. I can see a picture of it in my head. It's like an L-shaped. Oh boy, why can I not think of it? Somebody can pop it up in the questions. But it actually swings forward and it pans. So if you got a bird flying up, you can move up. Let's talk about tripod heads in general, because what I've got my camera on right now is a video head. It does two things. It goes right to left. Gimbal. Thank you, Connie. A gimbal. Yes, so it's a gimbal head. It sways this way. Get a good gimbal head. Get one that's smooth. It's a fluid. So let's talk about that. So in tripod heads, you have a fluid head. So it's filled with like fluid on the inside. It's really smooth. So with a gimbal, you can get a nice smooth pan this way, or like my video head. If I'm going to shoot a video and I'm going to say, you've seen the videos where they pan in. If you have a crappy, cheap tripod head for video or anything for that matter, and you're trying to pan, it's really sticky or it's really tough to push. The one thing you got to worry about though is when you get into winter time, and in Iowa we get to deal with 30, or in the Midwest 30 below zero stuff. They gel up a little bit and they get a little stuck. Judine says a Wimberley sidekick can turn your ball head into a gimbal. Awesome. Yes, Wimberley. That's another thing I could talk about. But you can sit here. There's also the video head. They're fluid. You can get a 3-way, like a head, which gives you 3-point. So they got 3 knobs. You got one that you turn, it goes vertical. You got one that turns, it goes forward this way. And you got your bottom one, it does panning. Those are great for like product shots, landscape photography, all that kind of stuff where you need to control every axis really well. If you want to take that one step further and spend some more money, because that's what we do as photographers, is you can buy a gear head. I want a gear head, but I'm not real excited about paying for one because it's got micro adjustments where you can turn it and click it and you can go these little micro adjustments. Super great for super precision work, but they're not cheap. Another tripod head is a panoramic. It's all set up to shoot panoramics. So you can have everything set up to shoot panoramic images. They're not cheap either, but I can go into days and days and days of tripod heads. There's a million out there. So it's one of those things. It really depends what you're doing. Like a ball head, that's probably the most common. It loosens up and it just moves around. I wish I had my ball head, but I took it off it somewhere here in this mess of an office. But what I like about it, it's quick. I can loosen it up, I can move it around, I can tighten it, but it's not very precision. It's always, you try to get it this way and you got it level and you're like, I need to go forward, and you tilt it forward. And then before you know it, now you're off kilter this way or that way. So it's just one of those things. I've got multiple tripod heads. I have a 3-way head somewhere around here. I've got the ball head, and then I have my video head for my video work, which I do very little of, but it's using it for this tonight because it's nice. It gets the camera level and I can tilt it forward and back. I'm trying to think. Oh, like even I've got a monopod. It's just the one leg that I use instead of a tripod for like big lenses. They've even got heads. You can put most of those heads on it. So, and for the most part, on a good tripod, you're going to be able to take your heads off. On some of those cheap tripods, it's literally like just stuck on there. The other thing, and if we go back a couple steps and talk about the tripod world again, with those tripods is there's different ones. Like you can get them so they're more compact. The one I have, the legs flip the opposite way. So it's about, I say it's about this big, probably like 1.5 feet. So it's pretty small. I can put it in the bag. When I went to Zion, I actually put it inside my big backpack and I checked it in on the plane. Then they make really small travel tripods with more sections of legs, things like that. So let's see here. So we talked about filters, a tripod, the 50mm lens, memory cards, a good camera bag, the L bracket, the smartphone, heads, and memory cards. Let's talk about memory cards real quick because those are just as important as anything. Buy a good memory card. Don't buy cheap things. Just don't, because they don't work well. They corrupt. They have issues. Get a good brand like SanDisk or God, why can't I think of it? ProGrade is another one. I just bought a ProGrade dual card memory card reader, which is super speedy, fast, which is awesome. Holds my I can read my USB. Boy, it's getting late. SD memory card, and then it also holds my CFast card because God forbid we keep the memory cards the same on the new Nikon mirrorless. Not that Nikon's listening, but who's going to listen to me? Not Nikon. So it reads 2 cards because now I have 2 different types of memory cards. So buy a good memory card reader or memory card. Get ones that are fast, got a high write speed. So if you do burst modes, they don't gel up and stick and spit and sputter. ProGrades from Ricky, all in caps. So yes, I'm probably going to eventually start getting ProGrade memory cards as I slowly get rid of my cards. Because I change out cards every here and there because I don't trust cards for long periods of time. Let's see. Has anybody got any questions on anything we talked about or anything just in general this evening? So I am more than welcome. We got 8:44, so I am more than welcome. If anybody is interested in the think tank camera bags, I am a think tank, not an ambassador, but a think tank. Why can I think of the term? Whatever. I have a special link, so if you want it, I can send it to you and you get some free thing and I think free shipping. So if you're interested in Think Tank, let me know. And that's not why I love Think Tank. I loved Think Tank before I became a Think Tank connoisseur person. Affiliate. Ricky, thank you. Ricky, an affiliate. So I'm an affiliate for Think Tank, as well as Ricky is. So if you want one of those, I can send you the link. Just message me on Facebook. So as we kind of wrap up here, a couple things. So next week, if you joined me kind of late, I'm going to skip next week and just push it out because we have a Halloween party to go to. And I told my wife I would go. So we're going to a Halloween party. The other fun thing, if you are not aware, I am doing the podcast, The Next Shot's my new thing. Oh, yes, and Ricky is a ProGrade affiliate. So I forgot about that, Ricky. So I am doing a new podcast called The Next Shot. Episode 1 has already jumped on. You can find it just about anywhere where podcasts are found, Apple, iTunes, or make it super easy, go to nextshotpodcast.com. That's the first episode. I just kind of talk about why I'm doing the podcast, where I started my photography journey. If you haven't listened to it, go out there. Monday at 5 a.m. if you're up early enough on the way to work or you're sitting at a desk, that's where I have been binging like literally 8 hours a day of podcasts, photography ones and some business ones, mostly to get kind of see people's formats, but obviously entertain myself at work. But episode 2 drops Monday at 5 a.m. We talk about impactful headshots with Chris Woolley. He is a photographer, a master photographer, has his craftsman degree for instructing through PPA or Professional Photographers of America, a whole bunch of stuff. Great guy, met him at Professional Photographers of Iowa back in March. Him and I talk about headshots and kind of how his theater background as a theater person got him into shooting headshots and how he kind of got into the whole photography realm because of shooting eBay photos. And then we kind of just chit chat from there. Unfortunately, the audio on that one came through kind of wonky. It's doable. Trent, I don't know if Trent is still on here, but Trent is going to be my next guest. We are going to have to, unfortunately, record his because the audio didn't come through hardly at all. So I need to figure that out with my guests before I do any more. But I've got a whole lot of content figured out for the podcast. So that is the newest thing. Evan says, Pam says I came in late. Will you have this posted? Yes. This will post just so everybody else is aware if you are new here or have not attended. These are streaming live to Facebook and they do stream live to YouTube. When they are done, they are on my page on Facebook. Probably easier to go over to YouTube to Justin Tedford Photography. It's got all the late night exposures on there since all but maybe the first one. Since I started streaming live, they're all there. So go out, make sure you subscribe and follow to the whole YouTube thing. I got to get used to saying that. Go out and subscribe to the podcast too. Get on there so you get notifications and all that stuff. I'm trying to build a community of photographers. Oh, the other thing too, is I don't have enough to do. Starting in January, I'm doing Coffee and Clicks. If some of you may have been in a private Facebook group connected to my Facebook page, Justin Tedford Photography. If you haven't liked that and followed it, go out there because a lot of stuff I post, new images, all that stuff gets posted out there. But I'm going to do Coffee and Clicks. That's going to be once a month. I did something called photographer get together couple of years. I started about 2019 before the pandemic. And then obviously we met once or twice after the pandemic, and long story short, mental health stuff, which I'm very open and candid about that I've had issues with over the last year or so, kind of took me away from all that stuff. And now I got that crap all figured out. I'm going to start it back up because I think as photographers, the best thing we can do is create a community. And anytime we can sit around and share information and help, the better. So Coffee and Clicks will be back January of 23. I'm hoping to really get like a really nice coffee spot. I have a place that I messaged on Facebook. They have not responded back. So I think I need to go buy some coffee and ask a manager. So, but I got to find a place for that. If you are interested, I am kicking around a Lightroom class, some other things for 23. So if you're interested in classes, let me know. Even if maybe they're like this kind of class, where I can go through and throw up a slideshow and it's all recorded. Evan says, I used to clean the sensor on my DSLR all the time, but from what I've read, Nikon discourages cleaning the Z6 II sensor. Do you clean your mirrorless sensor? Good question. I have not heard that. I probably should go and look that up. I wonder why. Do you know why? I have a feeling it's because they want you to send the dumb thing into them and clean and swab the stupid thing for $100. I do clean my own sensors. It's a lot cheaper. When PhotoPro did it, it was like $25 to $75. Now that they're gone, a lot of people are terrified to clean their sensors because everybody's like, "Woo, you scratch it." Well, as long as you're not rubbing sandpaper on it and you're doing it properly. Oh, thanks, Connie. Connie posted my YouTube channel in the comments. Thank you, Connie. It's not a scary thing. I remember the first time I cleaned the sensor at PhotoPro, I was like literally shaking and they're like, it's fine. I do clean my own sensors. It's cheaper in the long run because if I have to send it out, it's stupid. I think it's stupid to send out your camera to have the sensor cleaned because it's just going to get dirty again. One thing I hate about the mirrorless on the Nikons, nothing cut like when you take a lens off. I don't know about Canon. I believe Sony's the shutter closes or there's like a little sheet curtain thing, whatever you want to call it, goes over the sensor so you don't get dust on it. The Nikon does not do that. It drives me up the wall. But I do swab my own sensor. I mean, make sure that's another thing. If you're going to swab your sensor, reach out to me. I'm more than welcome to send you the kit I use. It is pretty expensive to start out. The liquid is very, very inexpensive. The swabs are kind of pricey, but there's a little loop that I use too. I'd like you to show us sometime how to clean the sensor. That might not be a bad thing. That might be a good thing for Coffee and Clicks because I almost want you to be there in person to see it. That might be a good thing to do. It says this. Oh, the sensor has gimbals on it. Cleaning may damage the gimbal. Yeah, the whole what do you call it? Vibration thing. Oh, Frank has a question. Why would you recommend? I'm horrible at popping these questions up here. Let's see. Let me find this other one. Take it down. So Frank says, would you recommend a DSLR for live streaming? Yes. You can use a DSLR for live streaming. I've actually loved live streaming, actually. This is a lot of fun. There's a couple things if you're going to live stream. Buy a AC adapter. That gives you unlimited power. That is what I am running this on. My Nikon Z6 II, the first time I did this, that stupid little adapter that is like a fake battery on a power cable. I don't know if I bought the last one in the entire world, but everybody, B&H, Adorama, Paul's Photo, Hunt's Photo and Video, every camera store I know, and I know a lot from work in the industry, no one had them. Nikon was out. I found one at B&C Camera in Vegas. And it gives me unlimited power. You can use a DSLR. I know on some of the DSLRs, the sensors get really hot, so they'll shut down. They have a time limit on them, so just double check that. But yes, you can use an SLR for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's see. Any other questions? Any other questions as we wrap up here? It is 8:53. No, nothing at all. Going once, going twice. So, actually, there's 12 of you guys on here. Awesome. Probably not the most, probably the most I've had in the last couple. So, you are welcome, Frank. So, I'm glad you could finally hop on. It's amazing what you do when you talk to people, man. That's what we did while we were waiting for the fireworks at Disney at Magic Kingdom. God, that was like a month ago, I think, already. Where does the time go? It's almost, I was telling the wife, I was like thinking of things I'm doing for clients for the holidays and all that good stuff. You're welcome, Connie. And I'm like, I got to think about stuff, and I'm working on more live stream stuff. If you guys have ideas for the live streams, I've got plenty of content. Don't worry. But I want to see what you guys are interested in. So if it's something you guys want, like Diana said, show us how to clean a sensor, things like that, let me know. Yes, Frank says glad we met, right? I know. It's always good to meet somebody new. But yeah, shoot me a message, justin@tedfordphoto.com. That's my email. Shoot me a message through Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. So, anytime, I'm an open book, as I always say. Keep an eye out, all the new stuff that's coming. I'm always looking at something to do. So awesome. Well, I'm going to let you all go this evening because I'm going to give another like 5 to 10 seconds if nobody has a question, and we're going to wrap this puppy up. Remember, Coffee and Clicks coming up in January. We got more live streams every Friday or every Saturday. No live streams next week. And then we are looking at the Next Shot podcast. So we're going to have Trent on here in the future. I've got plenty. I've literally got like 5 notebooks. I probably got like 2 years of content. And the other thing to know with Next Shot podcast is posted twice a month, every 2nd and 4th, I believe, or something. I don't have to look on it, but I may do a bonus episode every once in a while. If you're interested in being a guest for some reason, let me know and we'll talk. Mary Lynn, thank you. You are welcome. So awesome. You guys have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Get out there, explore, shoot, and hopefully I inspired you a little bit to go out and share and create some images. So have a good evening, and we will see you all soon.